The Tale of Ilya Murometz and the Robber Nightingale. Who would speak of the things of old? Who would tell us of the things of old, of the things that have been, of Ilya of Murom, of Ilya Murometz, son of Ivan, Ilya Ivanovich of the village of Karacharov, near the city of Murom, called by many Ilya of Murom or Ilya Murometz, was bound for old and mighty Kiev town. Good cloudfall skimmed over the grass and above the waters. High over the standing trees he soared, the primeval oaks, yet lower than the drifting clouds. From mountain to mountain he sprang, from hill to hill he galloped. Little rivers and lakes dropped between his feet, where his hooves fell. Founts of water gushed forth. In the open plain smoke eddied and rose aloft in a pillar. Halfway to his destination, Cloudfall, his shaggy bay steed, stopped and made a hole in the ground. Living water bubbled forth. Ilya cut across from an oak by the road and planted it by the hole, and these words he carved there: Ilya Murometz, son of the peasant Ivan, a Bogatyri, passed this way. Later a chapel was built there, and a well, which refreshed both travelers and animals alike. He rode up to the famous city of Chernihiv. Near the city of Chernihiv, a vast army of 3 Tatar Tsars had assembled, a vast army as black as a black raven. No one walked past there on foot. No one rode past there on a good steed. No bird, no black raven flew past. No gray animal scoured past. When Ilya saw that, he dismounted and plucked up a damp, ring-barked oak from the damp earth, much larger than the one which he had used to make the cross, and with this and his horse, which trampled on everything, he defeated the 3 armies of the Tsars. However, as he had no dungeon, he set the 3 Tsars free. The gates of Chernihiv were strongly barred. A watch was kept. The boyars were in council when Ilya and Cloudfall arrived. Ilya bid the people of the city, "Come to your famous wall, gaze out, and tell me what you see." And they did so, and as they looked out, they saw where there had been a virtual forest of foreign standards. There now lay slain Tartar armies, heaped like grain that had been reaped. In gratitude, they asked Ilya, "Abide in Chernihiv to rule over us." Ilya twice refused with the words, "I am not a ruler, and I do not wish to rest here. I am hastening to Kiev to serve Volodymyr the Red Sun." Nor did he accept at their hands a bowl of pure red gold, a bowl of fair silver, and one of fine seed pearls, but asked, "Show me the straight road to Kiev town." Then they told him, "By the straight way it is 500 versta. By the way around it is 1,000. But go not the straight path. The gray wolf does not go there. The black raven doesn't fly there. The first of the great barriers is the Brinsky marshes, which suck in every passerby. The second is the Smordina River, 6 versta wide. And the third is Nightingale the Robber. This Nightingale the Robber, Odemansi's son, Solovei Razboynik, he has built his nest on 7 oaks, where he dwells with his wife, 3 large daughters, and 9 strong sons. When he whistleth like a nightingale, the dark forest bows to the earth, the green leaves wither, horse and rider fall as dead. On that road there is grass growing between the stones." However, Ilya was not to be discouraged, and went on his way. Ilya Murometz, Ilya of Murom, the mighty Bogatyri, rode into the open field, across the sea of grass, and saw the scattered bones of knights and warriors. He rode over them. 30 versta before Kiev, Ilya went to the Brinsky marshes. He quickly built a bridge over the swamp with oak trees torn out of the ground, and approached the Smorodina, which sprang from nowhere, where the Levanidov cross stood, the cross where Volodymyr's Bogatyrs had once sworn to each other to be brothers in spirit. Solovei, the Nightingale robber, heard his end approaching, felt a terrible foreboding, and before the brave Bogatyr Ilya Murometz could advance another 20 versta, Nightingale began piping, and flames and sparks shot out of his mouth. He piped like a nightingale, he roared like an auroch, he hissed like a dragon. At this sound, Cloudfall, the brave, heroic steed, fell to his knees. But Ilya was not deterred. He advanced another 10 versta, shoving poppies into his ears so that he could not hear the piping. In order to catch sight of this miracle of endurance, Solovei leaned too far out of his nest. Then Ilya Murometz took his taut, supple bow in his white hands and stretched the silken string, laid on a tempered arrow. Then he shot it at Nightingale the robber. He knocked out Nightingale's right eye and temple and dropped Nightingale to the damp earth like a sheaf of oats. The hero caught him, tied him up, put him upside down on his steed, and continued on to Solovei house. Ilya saw as he approached Solovei's palace, which was built on 7 ancient oaks, that there were railings and spikes on the railings, and upon each spike was the severed head of a knight or warrior. The windows flew open. The youngest daughter of Solovei, of Nightingale, cried out, "Behold, our father brings us a captive for us to feast upon." The eldest daughter said, "Nay, our father is the captive, and he is bound to that steel stirrup." And they could hear Solovei pleading with his daughters, "Offer this man our magic gifts, anything to gain my freedom." And at first, the mother, Akulina Dudenchevna, sent forth her 3 daughters, but Ilya beat them away with his whip. Then the sons were to bring Ilya magic gifts. Instead, they turned into ravens and attacked him. And again, Ilya drove them off. Nightingale's wife, Akulina, pleaded with Ilya to release Nightingale, to release Solovei. Ilya refused, but he made them swear to stop robbing people, and he continued on towards Kiev. When Ilya arrived at old and mighty Kiev town, he tied Cloudfall and the captive Solovei to a post in front of the royal stables, and entered the palace and did homage to the prince. The red sun of Kiev invited Ilya to sit with the Bogatyri at feast, and asked him, "Say, doughty youth, how do they call you? Of what city art thou?" Ilya Murometz returned in answer, "My lord, they call me Ilyushka, and by my father's name Ivan. I live in the village of Karachavo, outside of the city of Murom." When the heroes that sat at the prince's table heard that, they looked askance at him. Then the ever-suspicious Alyosha Popovich tired of his story and interrupted, "How did you say you came here?" He pointed out to the court that the invincible Solovei Razboynik had cut off the shortest road to the north for 30 years. Ilya answered, "What this Bogatyr says is true, or it was true, for I have defeated Solovei and brought him here. He is tied upside down to my horse. He was not invincible." Then the prince was angry and said, "Why art thou telling such tales? Hail to you, my peasant bumpkin, my smerdy. Peasant, you lie before my eyes, you mock me before my eyes. since an army of great number has been assembled near the famous city of Chernihiv, no one has walked past on foot, and no one has ridden past on a good steed. No gray beast has scoured past there, no bird, no black raven has flown past. By that cross, by that Lebanese cross sits Nightingale the Robber, or the Comanche's son. When Nightingale whistles like a nightingale, when the villain robber screams like a wild animal, then all the grasses and meadows become entangled, the azure flowers lose their petals, all the dark woods bend down to the earth, and all the people lie dead there. Nay, bright son, Prince Volodymyr, Ilya answered, I came the straight way. Nightingale the Robber sits tied in your courtyard as we speak. At this, all the Bogatyri left their tables of white oak and raced down to the stables, and the villain cowered. Volodymyr, seeing this, foolishly challenged Solovei to whistle like the nightingale that he was named for, to hiss and roar. Nightingale said, I will not answer to anyone except that peasant, pointing at Ilya. Ilya then commanded Solovei, whistle with but a fraction of your strength, to show my prince the power of your voice. Nightingale demanded a large meal and lots to drink. And as he was replenishing himself, the Bogatyri watched him. At last, finishing his meal, Nightingale whistled, but at his full strength. Buildings began to topple and twist. People stuffed their ears in vain, trying to block out the sound. Ilya demanded that Solovei cease, and when he did not, Ilya took a burning arrow and fired it into Solovei's chest, took him outside of the city, and struck off his turbulent head. Again, the prince and the Bogatyri sat at the oaken board, eating savory viands and white swans, and quaffing sweet mead. Great gifts and much praise did Ilya receive, and Volodymyr gave command that he should be called evermore Ilya of Murom, after his native town. Volodymyr thanked Ilya and made him Kiev's first Bogatyr. The Bogatyri made fun of Alyosha Popovich for misjudging the new Bogatyr. It was at the feast I heard this tale. There it was, I drank mead ale. Though it flowed down my beard, my mouth stayed dry, for never a drop passed my lips, swear I.